A 2022 OECD report states that global production of plastics from recycled or secondary plastics has more than quadrupled from 6.8 million tons in 2000 to 29.1 metric tons in 2019, but this is still only 6% of the size of total plastics production. More needs to be done to create a separate and well-functioning market for recycled plastics. Setting recycled content targets and investing in improved recycling technologies could help to make secondary markets more competitive and profitable.
35,000 Eiffel Towers. They would weigh the same as all the plastic waste produced in the world in 2019. At 353 million tons, plastic waste has doubled just in the last 20 years. The OECD's first ever global plastics outlook underlines how our insatiable demand for plastics is exerting pressure on the planet. Moreover, the production of plastics leaves a large carbon footprint, equivalent to 3.4% of global greenhouse gas emissions.
For a country where 46% of plastic waste is mismanaged and uncollected litter, India is taking bold steps in manufacturing products from recycled plastics. Startups are strategizing and gaining a share of their recycled goods in the consumer marketplace. Sharang Ambedkar, founder at Feel Good Eco Nurture, is one such entrepreneur. Here's a conversation between Sharang and Sunita Kaljuchi.
This is the shirt. If you can see, the logo is recycled over here. So this shirt is also made from recycled plastics. Is made from those PET bottles. Such T-shirts are also made from recycled plastics. Once again, this is a huge development.
Thank you so much for joining me, Sharang. I've been hearing such a lot about you. I've been hearing about the entrepreneurial spirit and how it's going with recycling in India. So I'm in the mood of playing the devil's advocate. I've just recently read the UNEP, the United Nations Environment Protection Report. And so I'm going to play a bit of a devil's advocate, but I'm sure you can tackle the devil. So the first question is, what strikes my mind is that the circular economy that we are so boasting about is just going to encourage or reward usage of plastic. What are your thoughts about it?
Definitely, it is going to, I don't say increase the usage of plastics, but it is going to make it happen in a more sophisticated way, how we use the plastic. Circular economy is not about using or not using of the plastics. It is about how we dispose the plastic in a better way and how we reuse the plastics in a better way. It is not only about plastics, but it is about each and every material that is coming from the nature or in any synthetic way has to go and be reused once again into many other life cycle of but also the materials.
Absolutely. However, here are my thoughts. So not just as a person who's interviewing or as a journalist, but just as a consumer, my thoughts are, hey, look, before we collect plastic, used plastic, it's dumped with a whole lot of unknown materials. So A, plastic is toxic, and B, when it's just dumped around like that, along with a huge pile, and you know how piles are, huge pile of plastic, it gathers or it collects or it is prone to absorb some of the toxicity of the material that is dumped with. That toxicity could be the cover of the plastic cover from a meat covering, or from a hospital. Are you worried about the way the process is being followed or not followed?
The worry is only about how we dispose the plastics. Plastics do not inherit any synthesis for absorbing such toxicity. It is when you decompose it in such a way, like a plastic, for example, can be melted or can be processed at a finite degrees of temperature, say 180 to 230. If you exceed about 230 degrees or 250 degrees, it will end up giving toxic chemicals outside in the environment. But if you are disposing it in under a finite temperature, it won't. But at the same time, our whole foods, medical equipments, everything are made out of plastics. So they don't absorb toxicity or they don't toxicity on their own. When you decompose it in such a way that it should not be, it will have its own downfalls.
So you're not utterly, you're not worried about it. This is not something to be concerned about. What is of concern to you?
We are what we are not worried about, because we are doing the recycling part, and we are doing the recycling of very dirty type of plastic, the post consumer plastics, like chocolate and biscuit wrappers, you know, the chips wrappers, chocolate, the multi-layered plastics, which basically has multiple layers of plastics, aluminum on the inside, aluminum foil on the inside, multiple plastics on the outside. So this type of material we are recycling. So we know how the process is being followed, how we are cleaning it, and how we are giving out a superior material which is almost at par with the virgin plastics, so that we don't use the virgin plastics which comes from the petrochemicals. So the crude oil is used less and less. And also we support the uh, not increasing carbon emissions in the environment. Just like how cement is one of the material which contributes to around 8% of the CO2 in the world, which is the highest material which emits the CO2 while manufacturing of it. So we are making it out of plastics, so that uh, carbon emissions for concrete is 1 kg for 1 kilo, and for plastics it is hardly around 100 grams. So that is a huge drastic decrease in the carbon emissions into the environment. So that's why substituting such materials which have been used for ages, we are giving a new life, that carbon emissions
Tarun, how many times
is being reduced to
recycle
99%.
plastic? Sorry, you're breaking up. How many times can you recycle plastic? Okay, we are talking about this great circular economy, but there's a limit to how many times you can keep recycling the same recycled plastic. What is the downside of that? And B, how many times can you recycle it? Recycled plastic.
So one plastic, say for a bottle of plastic, okay, can be recycled at least 2 times. But at the same time, while recycling it for the third time, you don't use the whole 100% of the same material in recycling the third time. You use 80% of new, not virgin plastics, but virgin recycled material, or the virgin waste, I would say. It is the first time which is getting recycled, we use that. So it enhances the quality of plastics. So the times of plastic that we are recycling increases drastically. Like we have recycled multi-layered plastics around 7 to 8 times, and the life of each plastics is anywhere around 15 to 20 years.
You're substituting plastic with recycled plastic. What's the percentage you're taking off the market of new plastic coming in? Give me a
So
rough.
there are two ways where two industries in which we cannot use virgin plastics, recycled plastics. The first is biomedical industry, medical industry, because for your masks, for your medical instruments, it is not allowed as per the norms, that we cannot use recycled plastics because it is for our health. And the second is food industry. We cannot use recycled plastics in food industry for packaging, for spoons, and for everything. So these are the two materials which will continue to use virgin plastics. But other than that, other all the plastics which are not touching our body can be recycled. and can be used as a recycled material also. So it can go anywhere around 80 to 70, 75 to 80%.
So how does recycling get rid of toxicity? I know that we have got rid of things like BPA plastic in plastic, but there are other things that we need to look out for in plastic. The leaching, for instance, into food, contamination. How much, my worry is that in recycled plastic, is that going to be an enhanced factor, or are you not worried about it?
We have a lot of chemical-based companies, additive companies, which are making this effort that such things of leaching, temperature control, oxygen barrier, uh, taste, and also the atmosphere barrier, things are being limited so that the recycled plastics is as good as virgin, and they don't emit such toxic materials outside for any of the contents which is it is covered in.
I'm also going to read out to you the latest UNEP. There was an interview conducted, and here's what the lady had to say. If we could reduce production of plastic, that would significantly help. And then hopefully, as behavioral changes increase, we then use alternatives, or we go back to what we used to in the past. We cannot rely solely on recycling to fix the problem. Your comments on that? This is the latest UNEP spokesperson speaking in an interview with someone.
I agree to it 100%. We have to limit the use of plastics in whichever ways possible. For example, we cannot keep on using or buying new plastic bottles each and every day, or buying new coffee mugs each and every day whenever we go to our coffee shop. We have to use our own reusable cups, which have to be reused again and again. So behavioral change of consumers is the key, and also how they dispose their own plastic cups or their own plastic material which they are using on a daily basis have to be changed. So I support it 100%.
Still, even if there is a moving away to conventional usage of paper, that of course is also another environmental threat. So what is we are cutting wood. I mean, it's safe in terms of toxicity, but we are endangering forests and stuff like that. And
Definitely.
the question here is, if you see anything substituting plastics, of course there's the whole circular economy catching a lot of traction, but if you were to look at one material other than paper, what would it be for packaging?
So we have to first understand that just like how there was Stone Age, Ice Age, Metal Age, and now we are living in a plastic age. Okay, our habits have changed. We are storing our food for weeks and months. We cannot just substitute plastic by anything. Packaging is the one material which our habits have been helped to invent the usage of plastic in such a way. If you are making the food on the same day and consuming it on the same day, you won't need packaging. It all depends on our behavior. But for food packaging, there is no substitute other than plastics. The biodegradable plastics are uh, are at a very nascent stage right now. It is not at all cost effective, because if we use that, the consumer is going to pay a higher price, which many few of our consumers are ready to pay that premium price for that particular material. So it is on a very nascent stage. It will be coming in the way forward in about 5 to 6 years, where biodegradable material will be a normal, just like how we are using plastic right now. So this packaging material, which is biodegradable, can become a normal in the coming years. But at this particular stage, it is not, because we have to pay a premium and the consumer is not ready for it.
That brings me to my next question, which is, there are certain, at every stage of human evolution, there's been a dent in the way we do things. So if there is a dent that this kind of, ban of plastic or showing our back to plastic, what do you think is the dent going to be on the way that we carry out business? For instance, the pressure that will be put on longevity of packaging. You know how retail stores package and keep the stuff for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, maybe 6 months. Is it going to change the way that retailers and companies that are dealing with food are going to behave or are going to do business? For instance, bulk foods gaining traction or something else that will change the industry?
It is said that whatever goes up has to come down, or there are two sides to the coin. So business have been flourished because of plastic packaging, because they could store for months and months. So that is the time when the businesses grew tremendously because of packaging waste. They could store in their warehouses for months and months and then distribute it into their retail chain outlets. So similar to that, the business have to be structured in such a way that the consumption is done only when the production is there. So the timeline of making the products and consuming the products have to be managed in such a way that we don't have to store food for a long time. You might have read a very good business how paints work. Asian Paints in company, they used to they're the best manufacturer of paints, and though they know each and every time a person is going to buy, with use of coming up artificial intelligence, machine learning, we can learn with the use of supercomputers what material is going to be used when. It comes in food packaging, it can come in any food material or any item which is bought into the from the markets, can be studied that when it is going to be consumed. So we produce only that much amount of material and bring it out in the market so that the disposal of that particular item can be uh, taken care of in a much more sophisticated way.
So are you satisfied with the way that India is moving with the circular economy in terms of there being policies? Collection is a huge, massive point of disappointment. Then the sorting is a huge, massive point of disagreement. It's a parallel economy that's emerging, plastic recycling. It's creating a few billionaires or millionaires, whatever you may call it. However, there's that fear still that the sorting out process is not the best and collection is not adequate enough. What are your thoughts on it?
India is the largest country with the largest population here. We are doing our best to do that, but at the end, it is a team effort. We have to work as our one country, one team, where the segregation, the disposal of waste is segregated. If the disposal is done in a segregated way, the sorting will be done in a segregated way. If the sorting is done in a segregated way, then the recycling is going to be much more efficient. So it is not only one part of the system that has to do all the work. It is the whole team or the whole the chain which has to do the effort in making it more efficient. You cannot blame it just on the millionaires and billionaires who are doing the businesses. It is the whole chain. It is the whole chain who has to do. But the recyclers are doing the greatest job of cleaning their waste.
But are you satisfied? Are you satisfied that it's exponentially keeping pace with the plastic that's coming into the recycling network? There's a huge recycling potential. Are you confident that India will be, or any country? I mean, it's not that Canada is super excellent at it. But the resources are much more in place. Are you satisfied that the collection and is adequate enough?
I won't say so, because the behavioral change has yet to be established here in India because of two main reasons. The firstly, India is still growing. It is in a very fast-paced development scale. where the education has been given a basic priority. When people are going to learn about things, when they have a good knowledge about each and everything, uh, and they are more practical about what they are doing, then they'll dispose the waste or manage their own waste in a much more superior way. So if I have to say, once we have a good background of knowledge of basic education, which is happening in all the tiers of our country, this particular problem will be solved. Um like like you said, the Western countries or the developed countries are much more educated. The education, the medical facilities are being given by the government. It is not in India. It is not such in India. The basic priorities of our country are different. We live.
Picking up, Sharon.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So we live for basic three things: food, shelter, and clothing. So these are our basic necessities, not waste disposal or recycling. It is just one part or which we are tackling, and we are trying to make a business out of it, and also cater to the circular economy country. It is it everything is happening parallel way. So it's going to take its own time, but when it does, it is going to be one of the leading things that will lead the whole world, which will be led by our country.
How much percentage of the plastic that is wasted? I mean, plastic is being utilized for recycling. So there's a lot of plastic that's being
100%.
being used.
100%. Yes. Yes. So whatever comes to the facility, or whichever plastics which comes to the facility of recycling plants, 100% of that plastics is being used. Not even a single percentage of plastics goes unused.
And how much goes unused? Not in your
100%.
but outside in the whole country. For
Anywhere around 30 to 40% of plastic waste goes unused, just because of the behavioral changes. Because the food waste might be put into a plastic bag and just thrown into a dustbin. The waste pickers, or what we call here as the safai sathis, won't won't ever put their hands into a dirt and remove someone else's diapers or food waste from that plastic bag and take the plastic bag just for earning few pennies. So once the segregation is at par with the people knowing how it is recycled, then this percentage will go much lower. Right now it is around 40 to 30 to 40% which goes unused and which ends up in the landfill. But whatever is segregated and comes to the recycling facilities, not only our recycling factory but any recycling factory, 110% of that material is being used, reused, and none of that material is wasted, because at the end of the day it is a business, and all the material is a raw material which is being paid for. So each and every penny counts, and recyclers work on a very small percentage but in huge volumes. So each and every material is important for them.
tell me about your business. I believe you've been a great success in recycling and making products. Tell us about your success story.
So we have started. I've started my business in 2020 after coming from Italy. I was in University of Rome, Tor Vergata. Yeah, just before lockdown, I luckily came back to my country, and what I learned in Rome was a game changer for me in my life. I'm basically a software engineer. I was doing my software engineering over in Rome. I was working in university. That time I was fined around 50 euros for not segregating my waste in my campus. Yeah, and that is the reason what made me think about waste disposal and waste management in the first place. Because in that country, that was my first week. I had not earned even a single dollar, and I had to pay $50 for 50 euros for not segregating my waste, because we never were told to do that. And in India, it was not a basic concept. Me being an engineer, I was never asked in my hometown to segregate my own waste. So I won't expect anyone else. They have to segregate their own waste without educating them and making them aware that what are the problems that are going to be faced. So this was the starting point. And after coming back, I started my research about what's happening in India, how people are recycling. And I came to know that there are two sectors, organized and unorganized sectors, who are recycling plastic waste on a huge level. And that time I came across a main problem, which was the packaging waste, which was very light in weight, and the waste pickers were not picking up that waste because it did not have as much value to it as the heavy plastics like bottles or cans or aluminum cans. Such material was picked up by that, but the things which were going into waste were the packaging waste. So we focused on packaging waste, and mainly because we are a developing country, the C&D waste, that is construction and demolition waste. So after a lot of research and taking the help of the internet, because we have knowledge in our hands now, we came across a way to make this plastic waste more usable, or this packaging waste more usable. And we developed a material from multi-layered plastics, that is the chocolate biscuit chips wrappers, for making it into a substitute for wood and concrete. So this were our two main aims, or material which we wanted to replace in at least few percentage. So after making that material and patenting it, we got help from one of the biggest recyclers here in India uh, to scale up that thing in his facility, where firstly we were producing almost around 500 kgs per day, and now we are producing anywhere around 10 to 12 tons per day of that particular plastic, which is a huge scale up for a small business. And from that we are making wood, which will stop the cutting of trees, deforestation,
Wood,
and
WOOD, wood?
double O, yes, wood, trees, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, yes. I will be sending you some photos of those things. So we are making plywood out of plastic waste. We are making wood lumbers to make furnitures out of plastic waste. And the third thing was we are making tiles. So the ceramic tiles, the concrete tiles, which are used in pavement in a very huge manner, that you see, because we have huge connectivities and roads all over the world. We are replacing that with usage of plastic waste, which is safe for the environment, much more less CO2 is uh, given out into the environment while the production. And at the same time, this all material can be recycled at least 7 to 8 times, and the lifespan of each product, for once it is produced, can be anywhere for around 50 to 100 years.
Wow.
So you can look at the investment that you are making once you recycle. It is anywhere around 5 to 700 years that this material can be kept on being reused. And at the end of that, just for example, if you want to throw away your broken furniture, you have to pay some money to some person to take it away from your house, or just dispose it. But for this particular material, just like paper, if you know, in India, has a value. We call our garbage picker, or the one who buys paper and recycles it, will give you some amount of money, 1 to 10 rupees per kg. So it is something similar to that. When you are using your furniture, it has a value even after 15-20 years, that it will be sold on weight, and not that you are disposing and you have to give the waste. So it is just like an investment that you are making. The investment won't be compounded, but it will have a value to it at the end of the life. So that will help in circular economy to make the people aware that, okay, I don't have to throw this into the garbage, but I have to give it to some agency who is going to pay me for throwing my waste uh, in a very proper channel.
One thing that comes to my mind, correct me, I mean, I'm not an expert, I'm not a chemical engineer or anything, but one thing that comes to my mind is there's a whole, all these plastics that you are recycling are all mixed together. Some are thin, some are thick, and there's no time to sort out the thin from the thick. Sorry, one second. There's no time to sort out the thin from the thick. So they're all going together and making that end product, the new plastic. Am I right or am I wrong? So there's a combination of plastic characteristics that goes to form the new plastic. And we don't know how that's going to work out because we're creating a new entity. We are amalgamating two different streams of chemicals, one that goes into thin plastic, thick plastic, whatever the different kinds of plastics are. Is that something that's something that I would worry about? Are you worried about that? Because we're creating this new monster. We don't know how it's going to work out.
No, not at all.
No?
So if you see the plastics very clearly, I'll just show you for one instance. This is a plastic bottle which is present in my hotel. So here there is a small triangle which has written number 1 in it.
Right.
So each and every plastic has an identification number to it. So you know which type of plastics it is. Let it be thin, thick, or in whatever shape. If there is an identification mark on it, we know which plastic it is, and that helps us to make the same plastics. So when we recycle such plastic bottles, which let it be any size or any thickness, once we recycle it, it is going to be identified as number 1 plastic only. Or say for instance, this plastic packaging, this is a covering of a box which I've been using. It has been identified as number 5, so which is called as polypropylene. The number 1 is called PET. So such type of identification marks helps you in making the same plastics. So once you have identified what type of plastic it is, you will be recycling it into the same type of plastics for next life. You are not making a different entity out of it. It is just being given a new life into the same family chain, if I could say it.
Anything that I missed out on, Sharang? I know I've covered whatever I wanted to, but something that you may want to input into the interview?
So the latest development that we have been doing, the largest plastic waste that has been going around and which is used is for the number 1 plastic, the PET bottles. Such water bottles which are used everywhere, even in your coffee cups, water bottles everywhere. So the latest innovation that we are coming around is making clothing out of it. So like how I said, food, shelter, and clothing, the 3 basic necessities. We are covering the shelter with furniture, with tiles. The second one is we cannot go in food, but the third one is textiles, the clothing which is required. So we are manufacturing t-shirts, shorts, clothing material out of this plastic bottles, which is a huge menace.
Cotton, is it mixed with any other fabric or it's pure plastic?
Not at all. It is pure plastic.
Pure plastic.
So whatever you use while doing the sports activities, gymming or any sport, swimming, this is a virgin polyester. You might be aware of the polyester material. So
Yes.
polyester material is made from crude oil. Once again, it is a synthetic material which has to be made from crude oil. But plastics is present. The finished plastic goods are already made from petroleum products. So why don't we use them as a raw material and make synthetic polyester out of that? Was our main concern. So this is how we started into clothing. And I would be delighted to say that our jackets have been worn by our Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Modi ji, also in the Parliament during the budget session, during the G20 meet in the US, in the UK, and Japan. So he is also wearing it uh, in a very frequent way and supporting the circular economy which Feel Good has developed. So we are now tackling or doing two things at a time. We are also providing something for shelter and something for clothing as well, which is made from plastic waste. Uh, and the end story of it, once this is uh, gone into waste after a few years, maybe after 2 3 years, that you're bored with your clothes, we are also going to take this polyester back to us, make it into another cloth once again, so that it does not go into waste.
Amazing. And is there anything else that you would like to talk about? I mean, do you have a retail outlet? So all these clothes that you make, where do you sell them, or where do you retail them? Who are you? How
So
do you?
this is the latest development which we have started only about three odd months ago. We are yet to enter into the retail market, but we are doing B2B now, where we are giving uniforms to our clientele, to our existing clients, which who are using it in their uniforms, and also we are making use of this particular thing to promote it into the social events, like cricket is a very big thing in India. So sports jerseys, all the sports jerseys are made out of this, so we are doing that. And also football is growing very tremendously in India, so ISL, Indian football league here is also promoting this and using such products. So we are not doing it on a retail basis right now, but on a B2B basis.
But do you have a price advantage over the other materials? Why would anyone wear?
100%.
You do
100%. We do. Yeah, definitely. Our costs are almost, I would say, 60% less than the virgin polyester.
amazing. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure meeting. I mean, talking to you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I'll keep in
Thank you
touch.
very much, Sunitaji.
Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you very much. Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye.